Hello, everybody. What's up? This is our red flag stream. Happy to be with you. Sorry for the late start. It's not easy to start this OBS like it was in the old days. But we're going to give you guys a good show, I think. I got a lot of information to share. So bear with me, and it's going to be fun. Hey, what's up, Rebel Mike? Nice to see you. Rebel Mike's going to join us. He's very fluent with this kind of gun control insanity. So we're going to dig right into what these red flag laws are about and what they're going to do with them. You know, a lot of us already see the writing on the wall that they're going to expand these laws. It's not going to start out with mental illness. They're going to start going after anybody that criticizes the government and lack thereof or anything more than that. So, not just a family member, but like a police officer can do this. Decide whether you're mentally ill or not. And that's not a good thing because we know what can happen with corruption. You know, how they can decide who's giving the police department a hard time, or if somebody's filing a lawsuit that's going to affect their lives and bring down the house, so to say, then they're just going to make up an excuse and say, oh, this guy's mentally ill, let's go get his guns, and he can never have a gun again. And then it's going to go from there, you know. But, you know, they had this good protest in Virginia, and it feels like it was a complete waste, you know. That they ended up taking their rights, you know, with this red flag law that they pushed through. It wasn't a waste for the people. I mean, they stood, and that's what we need out there. People to stand and not feel defeated. So it's going to be a rough go for a lot of us Americans in the next couple years. So we got to stick together and not have this defeatist attitude. I mean, I've watched a couple shows lately where people are actually saying, oh, what's the point of talking about this stuff? What's the point? They won. Like, you can't act like that. It's time to stick together and say what's right, you know? So let's go over what this law is about and what they're going to try to do. Their definition of it. This is from Webster Dictionary, right? So it's a law allowing courts to prevent people who show signs of being in danger to themselves or to others from having access to firearms. Signs, okay? As by ordering the seizure of weapons without any due process. That means they just decide, okay, you're crazy, you have a so-called mental illness, and that mental illness is going to be expanded to a different terminology in the future. You know, it ain't just going to be like someone that's handicapped or whatever. It's gonna go further than that. You know, you open Pandora's box with this. And we know that. This is just the beginning. This is just them getting their foot through the door to take more from us, okay? And look what they write in the actual definition. In the wake of massacres. Now, massacre is a term from sacrifice, mass massacre, right? So, however you want to perceive that, it's interesting that they use massacre. Okay, similar to Wednesday's school shooting in Parkland, Florida, a small number of states have passed red flag laws that allow the seizure of guns before people can commit acts of violence. Mental illness, escalating threats, escalating. Now, who determines that? Substance abuse and domestic violence are among the circumstances in which a judge, you know, judge, jury, executioner now, can order weapon restrictions under the statutes. So here it is, folks. And look, this is from good old, right? Lenny Bernstein, you know, Jill Stein. A lot of Steins out there pushing the gun grabbing measures, right? So this is sickening. This is against the Second Amendment. Every citizen, no matter what condition they're in, should have the right to bear arms. So, what do you guys think here on the panel? Open it up here, and I don't mean to be talking too much, but since Rebel Mike's here, I like to hear Rebel Mike's opinion on this. If you're there, Mike.
Well, I mean, so, but you know, it's like everything else. Gun control is nothing to do with making um, anybody safer. Guns don't kill people. People kills people. All that. It's all it is. Is just another form of a way to control people. That's all it is. So they're going to go for. If you what are they going to do next? Because I'm fat, are they going to outlaw forks? Because they're going to say forks make people fat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's the same difference. So I don't know if you could take a gun, if you lay it on the table, that gun can lay on that table for 10 years, and that gun will never shoot nobody. Never. It won't. It will not. It will not shoot one person. So if you outlaw the guns, then people will use hammers. You outlaw the hammers, they'll use knives. You outlaw knives, they'll use sticks. It's people. That's the whole thing. So, whatever. But it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem, just like with the Virginia thing. It's going to be a problem if they try to take the guns away. People say, "Oh, they could just bring the UN in and come." It's not going to work like that. People think they're not going to take the guns. They get you know how the government likes to do. They like to push the issue all the way up to the point, and then they back off.
Yeah.
And then they'll do it again. And just because it's an election year, they're trying to gain sympathetic votes. Because of all the shootings. Oh, well, look, they're trying to protect us. Yeah, right. That's my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, I really think they need people to consider turning their guns in for this to work. You know what I mean? They need to change the mass mind out there, and that's why these psychological operations are at work, man. They're changing the way people think. They're going after the youth. Okay, so when us old farts go out the door, this whole new generation is going to be open to these new laws. Okay, it's obvious. That's why they keep pushing us into schools, and they're going after the schools with the shootings. It's the writing's on the wall. I mean, don't you think, Mike, that they would spend billions of dollars to get what they want?
Right. That's why they've changed what you learn in school. That's the reason why they don't push the American way. Or just like where I lived, they attack the Southern way of life. People that believe in God, guns, family, the country. They make them as bad people. That's how they do it. That's how communism goes in and takes over. They go in, they destroy the history, they destroy the religion, they break down the family structure and the moral of the people, and that's how communism takes over.
And that's basically what we're seeing. You can't make this stuff up. It's actually happening. I mean, you watch Hollywood now. I mean, it's perversion. I mean, and we know who owns the porn industry. And, these younger men out there are finding it easier just to watch these films and not go out and find a real girl and have a family. You know what I mean? And a lot of these younger guys are saying, "Oh, I don't want kids." They want you thinking like that, so you don't have that family unit no more. I mean,
That's
it's
what
pretty
the
obvious.
feminist movement was to take the woman out of the house. Because back in the day, in my parents' days, the men went to work, they earned a living. The women stay home, they take care of the house. They there for the kids when they come from school. They cook the dinner. They're the glue that held the family together. But if you think that way nowadays, you're actually you're belittling
Yeah.
women. You're saying women are no better, to all they could do is take care of the house. That's what they want to make you believe.
Yeah.
And that's actually, to tell you the truth, I would rather go to work than have to stay home and take care of the house. I think
Yeah.
that's a thankless, payless
Yes,
job. I wouldn't
that's a
want.
full-time job, man. I mean, that's a job that no one wants. And there's a lot of good women out there, such as my mother, that really, worked hard to take care of us kids when we were young. And I was thankful she was home. I will say that. So, you know, I'm all for the June Cleavers out there. I mean, I'm all for that. And if women do want to work and strive out in the workforce, that's fine. But don't make it bad that a woman chooses to stay home and take care of the kids. A real man would want that. It's just natural.
I mean, that's why they've made it to where it costs so much to live, to where that was another way of forcing the woman out of the house, was because it takes, in a lot of places they both have to work just to get by, just to live. So,
Yeah.
whatever. Just like I was talking to somebody at work the other day about cars. There is no way that vehicles should cost as much as they do. They don't cost as much as they do in the United States, other places. A Ford Focus over here, just a little old Ford Focus, costs you $20,000 for just a little shitbox car.
Yeah.
Overseas in the UK, I have a friend that bought a Ford Focus. He paid like $10,000 for a brand new. They don't.
Yeah.
It's That's the way they. With the stuff shouldn't cost what it does. It's just
Yeah.
it's all a system that's been happening for years and years. I remember back in the 70s and the 80s when this same type of stuff was going on, and it's just a little bit, and then certain presidents will get in there and it'll taper down. Usually when a Republican gets in there, it tapers down for a little bit, but it's still going on in the background. And then once a Democrat takes control over again, then they ramp it back up.
Yeah. And remember, Trump changed his mind over these El Paso and Gilroy shootings. He changed his mind about the red flag laws. Isn't that a coincidence? That was the excuse they needed, right?
Right.
Right? To keep pushing it. So even, the people that still believe in the left-right paradigm, I mean, you got to see that the Republicans are not really on your side as far as guns. When it comes down to it, Mike, that's what I'm seeing now. They're drip feeding, they're given to the democratic and communist way. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean,
Well,
can't you kind of see that now? I mean, like, they won't totally show the public that, but behind closed doors, they're now giving excuses on why they agree with taking rights.
Well, I mean, like Trump, he says he's for the Second Amendment, but he has shown moments of his decision process where he could be swayed in gun control to a certain extent.
Yeah.
So,
All right, OGM Finding Freedom. What are your thoughts? OGM's from our actual red flag state, so I think Finding Freedom as well.
I haven't heard of any. I haven't heard of it like actually being like used yet in my state, but yeah, they passed it in my state when they took the 30-round clips. But yeah, it sounds ridiculous. Like, for example, if you got in a fight with an ex, and they made up some shit about you. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's
So
pushing it.
yeah, so they could start making things up, or a judge that doesn't like you, or an officer that has some agenda can now barge into your home and take your guns. Just like that guy from Maryland, I think his name was Gary Wells, I'm not sure on the name, but he was 61 years old, and I guess a family member might have turned him in, but we're not sure on that. They barged into his home, he reached for his gun, okay? And they killed him dead. Okay? An innocent man lost his life over this stupid law. Now, what would you do if somebody's kicking your door in? Because they weren't serving a warrant. There was no due process. I don't know, man. This is bad. Without due process. What do you think, Finding Freedom?
Yeah, so first up, I just want to welcome everyone who's watching. Thank you for tuning in. So, this whole Virginia red flag law, I personally believe it's like a dry run for what's to come nationally. So they're doing it it's like a test. They want to see okay, what's the best way to implement it? How do we do it? And what are the outcomes? So, so far the law still hasn't been signed yet. Right now, the Virginia Senate, the state Senate of Virginia has passed it. And I think the House of Commons is now reading up on it. They're supposed to vote on it next week. And then after that, the governor will have the authority to sign it into law. So, the whole purpose, I think it's a dry run of what's to come. So, probably by when we have the next Democratic president, the next, I'm assuming we're going to have a Democratic Senate and a Democratic House. And yes, they're going to implement such a law nationally, deeming people who are, quote, dangerous. They'll deem them and they'll have their guns taken. And, this is no coincidence because in August, the FBI started labeling, they said the conspiracy theorists could be labeled as extremists or terrorists. So, the fact they're passing that and now they're starting a dry run this red flag law, it's just something big is coming and we don't know how the nation's going to go, but we'll have to see. And I think, fellow man, you made a good point that what they're trying to do is aim at the younger generation. So, they know that the older generation who owned guns their whole life, they're not going to give it up that easily. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to make it like a trend among youngsters. So, millennials, Generation C, and the younger generation in general saying that, yeah, we need gun control. That's why they push it in high schools or colleges. And, once that generation takes over, they get what they want. Nobody will care, and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Well, I also think you're going to start seeing things with, so you see West Virginia that passed a law saying that the counties that are wanting to basically become West Virginia counties, that they can, if the counties vote on it, they'll become a part of West Virginia.
Yeah, I just saw that today, brother. I just saw that.
Right.
Yeah.
And the state borderlines will move. Well, and that's not so far-fetched because that's how West Virginia became West Virginia, and so you might see some of that start happening. I mean, you never know. And you always know what you're seeing now is not just started happening now. Like Finding Freedom says, they plan it out.
Yeah.
So things that happen today were probably pre-planned, years ago or months ago or whatever. So
yeah, I don't find it a coincidence that these three so-called white supremacists were planning to start a civil war on Monday. And then there's people talking about the West Virginia thing where these counties from Virginia want to come over, and now they're saying, well, that's how the Civil War started, when this separation started with the Virginians.
That could be fear-mongering too. I mean, I don't know if we're that far
exactly.
out.
I think these stories were manufactured in the beginning, to put that.
I mean, I think the Civil War stuff is overblown. There's this before, in 2014, they were saying that a third world war is going to erupt because of Ukraine and Syria. Nothing happened. So
yeah, they're just planting those seeds out there for people to start thinking in these directions. That's just what I'm saying. That's how the media works. What they want out there, they let out there.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. So you got to wonder.
I mean, that's just the protest they had in Virginia with all them many thousands of people. That's why they let that stuff go on. That's all they're doing is gauging the strength of that policy. You know what I'm saying? They're gauging how committed people are to it. So you only had 66,000, which is a lot of people, but it's still, with the amount of people in the United States, that's just a drop in the bucket. Now, if you'd have had like a million or two out there, then that would have been a whole lot bigger impact.
Yeah.
So a lot of times on these issues, we're our own worst enemy, because which is what they've done. They divided us, so you can't get people to agree on anything. But that's why we can't get anything done. If there was, there's 10,000 of us show up to bitch about something.
Yeah.
Now, on the other hand, if there was 1 million people showed up, then people would pay more of attention.
And that's why I have a big problem with defeatism, Mike. Like this talk out there, oh, we can't do nothing about it. Well, if you think that way, you're going to spread that. Other people will start picking up on that and get all negative and not want to stand up for anything. I just can't accept that. That's everyone's downfall if we start thinking like that. We might as well just say, hey, do what you want. Let's give up our rights. So it's frustrating. You keep trying and trying to, reach people on here and try to open their minds a little bit, and they can help you out as well. I learned a lot of stuff from Finding Freedom, OJM, and even you, Mike. Like we all learn something from each other. Like we're all trying to keep our rights and stand against tyranny in the end, right?
This is another point which a lot of people haven't covered. I believe, so if you guys remember in 2015, the Virginia reporter Allison Parker, she was allegedly murdered.
Yeah.
It just so happens that her boyfriend, I believe, he's one of the Virginia state's senators who is sponsoring this bill. So, that's no coincidence. And if you watch the footage, it's questionable if you actually watch it. So, it's no coincidence that he's co-sponsoring this legislation.
Yeah, definitely. So, we could go on about this, on how this went down. I mean, there's Israeli tech now getting involved with Virginia. I mean, thanks to Nicola, she found a lot of links to that really opened my eyes on how deep this is going to go, how they're going to weaponize drones, and who knows, how far they're going to
show
take
them?
this. Yeah, I'm going to get to that here in a second. So, anyways, Mike, what do you think is going to happen after this, after red flags? Say if they get this nationwide.
I guess it'd help if I turn my microphone on.
No.
I don't know. I just think it's a lot of more like a lot of bantering. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
yeah.
Do you actually think? How many of you actually think if they was to come and pass this law nationwide, okay, red flag laws?
Yeah.
There are certain groups of people that are not going to give up their weapons no matter what. Okay,
Yeah.
There are certain groups of people that already have things in place that nobody knows about, that don't get talked about, that have things in place for this. That there is a line there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I mean, just because it's not showing on the surface, a lot of the people that will really do something are not in here talking about it because they know that point, we're past that. So now all they can do is just plan on what needs to happen when it needs to happen. And if it comes to that point, then I guess we'll all have to wait and see. I don't know. I mean, I don't think they'll ever get it passed everywhere. I think soon as this election is over coming up and Trump becomes the president again, I think this will die out, actually, till the next 4 years comes around.
I hope so, Mike. I think I'm Am I buffering? I might be.
No, fella, man, you're fine. We can hear you just fine.
Oh, I mean on the live show. Am I, Mike?
Not. I don't hear anything.
No, I
But
mean,
like with Trump, I think the whole point of Donald Trump is he's trying to make the conservative side look bad. He's just being a moron, just so people start thinking, oh, the conservatives are with Donald Trump and they're idiots, and what it's doing is boosting the far left. So more far left socialist Democrats, they get more credibility. If Trump does something stupid, it gives the far left more credibility. So when 2024 comes and there's an election and a Democrat wins, they can do whatever they want. It's similar thing they did with George W. Bush. He was viewed as an incompetent president, and then Barack Obama can do whatever he wants. So that's the whole point. Having a bad Republican president is it leads the way to a Democratic president can do whatever he wants.
and that's where we're heading, right? What do you think about the
Yeah.
impeachment process? Do you think it's a charade?
Yeah,
get,
it's
to
just
get where they want.
Well, thing about the impeachment is it was never going to pass because Senate is 53 Republicans to 47 Democrats. It was never going to pass, and I know nothing's going to happen. So I mean, it probably was like the House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi. They must have known that it's not going to do anything. He's not actually going to be removed. So yeah, it probably is just a drama show.
Yeah, I mean, look what they're doing. They got the Israeli Defense Corporation all involved with Virginia now. So here we go. These companies. Contracts are going to be made. Money's going to be made over it.
I mean, that's what it all is. It's a whole big smoke and mirror show. Watch this hand while this hand takes the money out of your pocket, but make sure you pay attention over here. And that's why I don't. I mean,
yeah.
What are you actually going to do about it? How many times you ever hear me say that, fellow man?
I know, and that's what drives me nuts. I think we should stand a little more.
I'm just saying. There's nobody. So in other words, there's nothing nobody's going to do about it. It's not that there's nothing that nobody could do about it. It's just that people are not going to stand together enough to do anything about it. So therefore, for yourself, what you have to learn how to do is you have to learn how to survive and convert yourself to being able to live in that type of environment that they're putting on. I mean, that's the only way you can do it, What you only can do two things.
I choose to stand, and I choose to at least try to help people.
Stand and we talk about it and let people know about it. I understand that. I'm not saying not to do that, but in the end, at the end of the day, it still is going to be what it's going to be because nobody's going to do really nothing about it.
So you think down the road, if they try to go any further with these laws that they're trying to push, you think more people are just going to sit back?
What else are they going to do? There is only one way to combat this.
Yeah.
There's only one way you can combat any of this evilness, and that is you get 4 million Americans to march to the White House and kick the fucking door open and say, all of you motherfuckers, get the fuck out. This is our house, and we're taking it back over. You think people are going to do that?
I think they will do that if they really came after the guns totally. I think that would happen in this country. And that's why they have to do it slowly. That's why they're using PSYOPs to change the mass mind. It's a slow process, brother. It's very slow.
They've been working on it for, 100 years? Forever?
No. Well, since 1960s, really, when they really pushed it, when Schumer enacted all his insane gun grabbing.
And they don't have nothing but time.
Yeah. But, according to all these, certain rabbis, time is on their side. It's a long-term agenda. It's for their future. It's we're one of the last countries that's in their way of resistance. You know, the people.
Who else is there though? Because like I feel like every other country besides Switzerland, they've given up. Like
They
like
give
no
up
other country
to their
don't let you.
way so they can have their little peaceful utopia over there. That's why they do that. Switzerland, New Zealand, all them type places.
I think Switzerland. So like Switzerland's a little unique because like I think like Swiss citizens are required to serve in the army. So after that, they're allowed to keep like certain guns, like not semi-automatic. They do have a ban on that, but they do allow like Switzerland does have a big gun culture, so that's probably the other they haven't
Mhm.
taken away from yet.
But yeah, I don't think we should give up, though. You know, like I said, we're
Now
gonna.
I'm give up. I mean, it's good to have these shows and talk about it and
Yeah.
hear different opinions but at the end of the day, it's still going to be what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well.
well, like their arguments are also kind of invalid at times because they talk about banning like semi-automatic rifles, but the truth is most murders are not committed with semi-automatics. They're mostly done by like pistols or and they're mainly done in like urban cities, where the crime rate is already high. So they're not talking about banning pistols. And if you did ban pistols, like you go to the United Kingdom, is a very high. I think London is a very high stabbing rate, and so taking away the weapons does not mean, like Rebel, you said this earlier, taking them away does not mean there's going to be a drop in crime. And how about all the people who die due to gang violence? Nobody talks about that. Like a large portion of gun murders are gang related. So, and most of these guys are getting their guns on the black market. So, passing laws is not going to stop that. It's like prohibition. Like in when they banned alcohol, it didn't mean that people were going to stop drinking. It just meant drinking is illegal, so people are going to have like secret wineries, or they're going to go to Mexico and drink. It doesn't mean that drinking is going to stop. Just because you take away guns does not mean people are not going to stop buying guns.
But like I said, they're going to add to these laws. They're going to add the definition of mental illness and how people view things. So, say down the road, all these so-called conspiracy theorists are labeled insane, right? You can't question the government anymore in their operations and them hiring crisis actors. Oh, I've said it, crisis actors. Then you're crazy for thinking this, right? So you're crazy for thinking who's behind these companies that are hiring them and where does it lead to? Where does it lead to? They're going to call you an anti-Semite, right? And label you mentally ill. That's what they want. That's what's coming down the road.
And if you could, I shared with you, fellow man, like the Department of Health and Human Services, they're actually doing a study on what causes gun violence. Like I shared with you a few weeks ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So when it's the first study in about 20 years, and once its study is finished, yes, they're going to label stuff like racism or
Yeah.
mental health as the reason for
it. It's no coincidence after De Blasio created this anti-Semite, anti-Semitism task force in New York, that this stabbing at a Jewish man's home was from a mentally ill person. You see what they're trying to correlate? I mean, it's
they
right. It's
recycle
the
that
writing's
same
on the
narrative
wall.
over
Yeah.
and over and over again. Like they did it in Sandy Hook, they blamed it on mental illness, on pretty much all of them. Parkland, someone. They always they always throw that word on mental health or whatever.
And which state was the first state to get the red flag law? Take a guess.
California?
Connecticut.
Connecticut. Okay.
Which is the biggest psyop in all of our history that far as these shootings. The biggest one that we cannot talk about on YouTube anymore. Sandy Box, right? So isn't that a coincidence? That's where the red flag laws started. I mean, just
Yeah,
look at it.
it's-
You know,
So can I ask, did they have the laws prior to the event?
I'm sure they were cooked up, but Connecticut was the first state that enacted it. So I'll get that here in a minute. Show you. But look what we can't talk about, right? I mean, look what they're curtailing us from talking about on YouTube anymore. Everybody has to go to BitChute and these other platforms. Why is that? Right?
Yeah. So Connecticut's red flag law was actually passed in 1999 after a state lottery worker allegedly killed 4 lottery employees before he killed himself.
But it's just funny how that was the first state.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, they did. So they've had that. What they did in Connecticut in 2012, it was planned for a while. If they were passing red flag laws in 1999, then it was planned for a long time what they were going to do.
Yes.
Right, and they told all them people in Connecticut, you have to turn your guns in, and we're coming to get them. And the people's like, "Fuck you," and they didn't do nothing.
Yeah. Well, the Northeast is very Democrat. So like New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Maryland, Delaware. It's like Maine, New Hampshire. It's like that. This whole area, that whole area is really Democrat, so they won't fight it. Virginia is a little interesting because Virginia, for 40 years, Virginia was Republican. The past 3 elections have gone Democrat. I believe in 2008, voted for Obama. 2012, reelected Obama. And then 2016, they voted for Hillary Clinton. So, I think Virginia is it's like a swing state. So it's I think they just want to test it out. They're not going to implement this in Alabama or Mississippi or Texas or Oklahoma, where those states are going to get fierce resistance. But Virginia is in between, so that's why they're testing it there.
And it's the only part of Virginia, because Virginia is really the only state that has a unique dynamic because of you have that part of the state up to Richmond that's really a suburb of D.C. And then you have to the north of it towards the mountains that are still true Southerners. You know what I'm saying? And that's the part that, they're passing a law in West Virginia for them 36 to 40 counties to become part of West Virginia and move to state lines. I think they should do that. I think they should take those counties, make them part of West Virginia, and they should just go on and make the rest of Virginia that's really the suburbs of DC anyway. Just make that part of DC. You just expand it all out.
Yeah, so it's like the area, the thing is, the area is near Arlington. It's also that area is also really diverse. I would say there's a lot of immigration in that area. So yeah, that area. It's because of that area near Arlington and Washington D.C. On Southern Virginia. It's because of that area, Virginia went Democrat in the past 3 elections. So yeah, but the rest of Virginia, Richmond, Charlottesville, Lynchburg, Virginia Beach, even that's all heavily Republican and conservative. So those areas, they're not going to go down without a fight. So
what do you think would happen if the government was to come to my state, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and say, "All right, give me your guns"? What do you think is going to?
That's what I mean. That's why they have to do it slowly, Mike. It's a systematic process. Like we just discussed, they're waiting for you older folk to die off and then implement this with the younger generation, my friend,
And another thing we have to point out with this immigration, all the immigration from the South, the illegal immigration particularly, one thing they're trying to do is change the demographics, because they know that, Dems always aim at minorities and try to get their votes. So, if they bring more immigrants, it changes the dynamics of the state. And that leads to states becoming more Democrat and losing their historical voting bloc. So that's why there's a reason for all this illegal immigration that's happening. Why they're pushing it so much. So
yeah, we're gonna play some videos where this originated from. Eric Holder's speech about how we need to brainwash the youth about guns. How we need to tell them that guns aren't good. I mean, they spell out what they're gonna do. I mean, they're not spending all this money for nothing. But like I said, they're not going to do it right away. It has to be slow. There's going to be too much resistance, too much uprising. So
Rebel Mike, can I ask you a question?
You can ask me anything you want.
Yeah, so I'm asking So I know I'm from the north, and like you're from the south. Can I ask you, are like the teenagers and young adults there? Are they like, do they buy into all this gun control propaganda, or are they still like they still follow the roots of their parents? Like, what have you noticed among the youth in your state?
Well, what you have is you have a bunch of younger people that have been raised in the South, and they've been raised the way the Southern tradition is to, your God, guns, family, being say what you mean and mean what you say. So a lot of people here, I got a 22-year-old daughter that looks at this stuff on TV, and she's like, these are people. She says she is embarrassed to be 22 because of the way they act. She's like some of these because she's in college, and in some way, some of these college, when they interview them on the street, when they say dumb shit, she's like, I can't even believe that these people think like that. And I'm like, that's just for the TV. She says no. She tells me, she says, this is how people at my school, because that some of the people at my school actually think like this. She says they say stupid stuff just like that. I'm like, okay. So
yeah, and I can attest to that. I can attest to that because I'm around the same age as that. And yes, the generation I grew up in, it's like what they're doing. The high school I went to, they're doing these like walkouts where they're saying stand against gun violence, stand for gun control. Like they're doing all these walkouts, and among college students, it's like I can talk. There's a whole lot of other nonsense they push, but yeah, they're having all these walkouts saying, yeah, we need to stand for gun control. We need to have more gun control. It's just awful, and it's like you can't if you say that. No, I believe that we have the right to own weapons. Like they say, oh, they'll just call you're racist or whatever. You're supporting violence against other people. It's just awful. It's
but
just,
you see who they're targeting. They're targeting people that they consider mentally ill, and this is where this is going. They're going to go after people that they think is anti-Semitic. It's spelled out for us right here. This is where it's going. Or anybody that's into these conspiracies. They're mentally ill, right? So what if it happened to you? What would you do if they took your guns, Mike? They can. With this law. They can with no due process. What are you going to do? You're going to say, oh, they ain't getting my guns. Bullshit.
No, listen. This is my saying on it. I will give them all of the guns they know I have.
So now when you go out in public and you get caught with a concealed weapon and you weren't supposed to have one, you're shit out of luck, aren't you?
But I'm not going to get caught with consent because I don't roll like that.
Well, what if you had to roll like that and defend yourself? Then what?
Then it's a whole different story.
Yeah.
It's not really going to matter if you get caught or not.
Well, yeah. If you defend yourself in the right way, you can go through a trial, through due process, and you can be proven innocent. Now, without having that gun, legally, you'd be shit out of luck, right? See, this is where this is going. And it needs to be stopped. It's unconstitutional to take somebody's weapon without due process.
It's unconstitutional for them to make you have a permit to carry it to start with. It's unconstitutional for you to have to register. That's all unconstitutional. Yeah. It's unconstitutional for them to make you have a driver's license to drive your car down the street.
No, the driver's license is a privilege, not a right.
But I'm just saying it's unconstitutional for them to. It's not what the republic of this country was based on, and a republic means that you have the right to be free and move about as any way you please, as long as you don't infringe on anybody else's right to do the same.
Yeah, and that's the Bill of Rights. We only have so many rights.
But
you don't have the right to murder and right to anarchy.
Well, I don't believe that government gives you your rights anyway. So
no, we earned these rights through the Revolutionary War, brother. You know that. We earned these rights. These are what our forefathers died for. I'm not going to stand by and let this shit happen. I'm going to stand up. I don't give a shit. I have family members that died in these wars.
Your rights were given to you by God.
I
The
get
government-
that, but they could
the
be taken.
government
They could be
to
taken from
uphold
you
your-
by man, bro. They could be
I
taken to you
understand
by man.
But the way the republic was set up is your rights are given to you by God, and the government is to make sure nobody infringes on those rights. Is the way it's supposed to work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
The-
Not
the-
for the government to take those rights and twist them up like
Yeah.
they want to, and then tell you this is how it is.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to get down into that nitty gritty, I mean, what are we going to do? We're going to arm up tonight and run out in the street tomorrow and say, "Listen here, motherfuckers." I ain't taking-"
No. You
Hey.
you do it the smart way, bro. You know that.
And how's that?
By word of mouth. If you could convince one of these younger kids that they've been brainwashed by this Eric Holder program, that having a is a good thing and protecting yourself is a good thing, and show them what's right and what's been fought for, then you're doing a good thing, and then you can reach out to another person.
Right.
Right.
I understand that. But you can't reach out to people as fast as they can.
I get that, but what I mean is you can't just give in to this defeatism, bro.
I mean, I'm not giving into it.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with it. Nobody's taking nothing from me yet.
Yeah, but it can happen to you with these red flag laws, and this is where it has to stop. They
Well,
can't expand this, and by giving them this, opens up the floodgates.
I mean, everybody says what they would do and what they won't do, but you never really know what you'll do until that time comes. I could say, no, yeah, I'm gonna stand there and they ain't getting my guns. I'm gonna fight. You never know what you're really gonna do until the time comes.
I get that, but why even let them get there? Like giving them these laws and standing by and not saying anything is.
I mean,
It's
I
wrong.
understand.
Yeah.
I understand that, but yeah, I mean, it hasn't.
I
They've
used
been
to
doing
think
this
like
as
you-
long as I can remember. I've been remember the same stuff back in the 80s. It's just that there was a different time back then. People were more relaxed. It wasn't, all this turmoil of. Only thing people were worried about back then was we were going to get bombed by Russia. That was the biggest thing.
I used to think like you, Mike. Oh, they ain't getting my guns. It's all propaganda. It's all bullshit. Well, hey, here it is. It's in our face now. They're pushing these laws. There's no denying it. They want our guns. There's no denying it.
Look, but like you say, they've been pushing this since 1999 with these red flag laws. They haven't taken any yet.
Yeah, because it takes time. They can't do it.
2,000.
like,
I
right-
think over 2,000 people have had their guns taken from them with these red flag laws so far, and one person has been killed that I know of.
Okay,
That
but let me
Maryland
ask
guy.
you a question. How many of those people should have had their guns taken? Do you
None.
know?
Absolutely none.
None. They were all unlawfully taken.
With this red flag law, yeah. But if there was due process, no.
Okay.
That's the whole point here, Mike, is them bypassing due process. That's the whole point.
Well, I look at it this way. I don't think they're worried about one little redneck out here in the middle of the woods in North Carolina. They're going to be focusing on all you guys in them big cities. So,
I get that, but I'm standing up for those guys in those big cities, man. We can't give in to none of this shit. It ain't, I get the every man for himself, but man, we can't let this happen, man. Come on, me and you are big gun
you have to
advocates.
be- look, you have to be every man for himself because you can't get people to get together and get along. And even if they do get together and get along with you today, they'll stab you in the back.
It was
tomorrow.
always like that, but when they start busting into homes and it gets worse and worse and worse, that's when a revolution happens. Look what the British did. Look why we fought the Revolutionary War. I don't know, Mike.
Yeah. The Revolutionary War was because of the British imposing these unfair taxes, and I believe there was something more. It was also due to the British central banking system, I believe. So, it's trying to break free from that that system. That's what the Revolutionary War was about.
It's tyrannical.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
You want to show that Eric Holder clip?
Yeah, let's show what they're really doing.
Man, you get worked up.
I do, man. When they're coming after guns like this, I get pissed. There was an innocent man killed for no reason over this bullshit. With no due process. Yeah, I'm worked up. I must admit.
What's OJM doing? Sleeping?
I don't know. Is he there?
His mic is off. He'll
I'm
be
here.
there now. Watch.
No, I'm right here. Well, I was just wanting to mention actually, like when they did pass our red flag law in Vermont, like I'm in Vermont. Yeah, it's a liberal state, but like there's there's not much crime here. There's really not. Compared to other states. But I remember right before they passed it, a couple months, like supposedly there was like a potential school shooting. Like, I guess, man, I can't remember the details, but I could look it up. But there was, like, supposedly some kid or something that came in with a gun, but it was, like, something was wrong with him, but they caught him way before, and the mayor was, like, going off of the shooting from Florida, and he's like, I can't stand to see this happen in here, and he passed these laws. Just that reasoning alone I thought was ridiculous, and I agree with Fellman on this one, or both of you, like this defeatist attitude, we can't have it, like it is worth talking about and getting out to people, I agree,
I've also asked people who...
Go ahead, sorry, I was just getting a video ready. Keep going, OJM, you're on a roll, brother. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, that was about it. Yeah, but anyway, Vermont is just like a total crime-free state. We've always had really lenient gun laws, and just all of a sudden they brought it in. It was like October, either last year or the year before. I think it was last year. It was just a total shock over here.
Yeah, well, this... Go on. Oh, yeah, I don't want to interrupt. Go on.
A lot of people like the second, because I'm a part of the gun club in my town. So, like, a lot of there's, I forget what they call it, but, a lot of them showed up to the Capitol, protested. They were saying our governor is a traitor, all that, and, it didn't go anywhere. The laws are in effect, but supposedly the NRA has taken it to court with some of the locals and all that, but I haven't seen any process, or any,
Yeah, you're giving the judge total dictatorial power with this, man. He gets to decide who's mentally ill, and the officer, with no process whatsoever. You're giving them complete power with no trial, bypassing your Bill of Rights. That is big. That's huge. Anyway, let's listen to Eric Holder's bullshit. Go ahead, Finding Freedom.
Yeah, well, this defeatist attitude, if you're just going to stand there and do nothing, then, well, you're giving in, essentially. Somebody steals your wallet or your car, you're not going to sit there and let them steal it, right? The natural instinct is to try to get it back, right? So, if you're just letting people take what's yours away, then, you can't just let him just think, okay, take away your guns, okay, take away my car or my home too. That should be fine. You can't just let them.
Yeah. That's like during the Revolution. Just let the British do what they want. Yeah.
I agree with Finding Freedom on that. Might as well take away our car or say they're a weapon too.
I look at it this way: red flag laws is a big false flag to me. Okay.
You think that these 2,000 people, Mike, that lost their weapons because of bogus bullshit, no due process, was a false flag?
It's a casualty of a bigger war that's being fought. And all this false flag, red flag, all this bullshit is smoke and mirrors, okay? Smoke and mirrors.
All right. Okay. I just don't think those 2,000 people and the couples that lost their lives over this shit think different, but that's all right.
Well, now you told me 2,000 people had their guns taken
Yes,
away. But now
that's
you told me 2,000 people were killed.
No, 2,000 people had their guns taken away from. One is killed that I know of. But there may be more. I'm not sure. I only looked up one so far from Maryland. So that's why I said couples. So, anyway. I know, I thought like you one time, Mike, like, it ain't getting me. I live in the hills or wherever.
I didn't say that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that they're not coming after you, first of all. Okay? If they get an opportunity or can concoct some bullshit, yeah, they probably take your gun. But it's not like they're coming, I'm targeting fellow man, I'm coming to get his gun with me, and you hear, knock, 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 fellow man, give me your gun.
No, but the other people that went through this for no reason. This is just opening the floodgates, bro.
But there was a reason that the opportunity presented itself for that to happen. It wasn't that those people were specifically targeted for no reason. It's just a random gun confiscation. There was some...
Exactly. There should be no confiscation without due process of law, bro.
And there should be, but I'm just saying, it's all smoke and mirrors. It's all a game that's being played. And as long as you keep your head wrapped around the specific thing and don't look outside the box and see that it's all a big game, then you're stuck inside the game.
Well, I'm not stuck inside the game, bro. I'm seeing reality, and it's happening. And all these Virginians that are upset about it, it's happened. I don't know. Let's listen to their game. Let's listen to what they got to say. Let's listen to Eric Holder.
Have influence over youngsters, entertainers, athletes to be involved in this program as well. But not only them, community leaders, Jesse Jackson, Mayor Barry, people who have credibility with young people should be on the television, on the radio, as much as we possibly can, and telling these youngsters that it's wrong to carry a gun, and that if you have information about people who are carrying guns, you've got to share that with Chief Thomas and with his people as well. I've also asked the school board to make a part of every day some kind of anti-violence, anti-gun message. Every day, every school, at every level. One thing that I think is clear with young people and with adults as well is that we just have to be repetitive about this. It's not enough to simply have a catchy ad on a Monday and then only do it every Monday. We need to do this every day of the week and just really brainwash people into thinking about guns in a vastly different way. We also want to have a hotline that we will set up and have the number of that hotline that you would just go out there, and that would be something that people would have emblazoned in their minds so that when they see a gun or become familiar about the facts of a gun crime, they would call that hotline and pass that information on.
Well, there you go. I don't know what else to say about that, Mike.
What else to say about what?
Well, you hear what Eric Holder was saying was that, yes, we need to repetitively, like, do it over. Like, brainwashing is essentially, like, what brainwashing 101 is just telling people the same propaganda over and over and over again. And what happens is once you hear it so many times, you come to accept it, that, yes, we need it. And then...
Oh, cognitive dissonance. I understand about it. I know fully how it works. But I'm just saying, you're getting caught up in the game. I mean, okay, that's what he says, right? I understand that. But my bottom line is, what are you going to do about it? Oh, fellow man just blew a head gasket. Did you hear it?
Yeah, I did, Mike. I don't know where you're coming from, bro. Me and you are like always on the same page on...
I'm just saying, I understand it. Okay, I'm not disagreeing with anything that you're saying. I'm not disagreeing with you. Okay. But what I'm trying to say is, what are you going to do about it?
Again,
How are you going to change what's happening?
the same way they're working on our youth, we could do back. Okay? We could teach our kids the right to bear arms and what it means. We could tell our kids at a certain age what it means to have arms, what it means to have freedom in the Bill of Rights.
I understand that. But how
What
are you
Eric Holder is pushing is the total opposite of that.
I understand that.
That's what we can do, and that could make change down the road. We're going to have to fight all the way back again, bro, if we let this keep going.
Okay.
Look what's happening, you know.
I mean, the only thing you really can do is prepare yourself to fight the real fight that's going to eventually come.
It's
If
going to
it comes
eventually
back.
come because there's going to
Right.
be less and less and less and less of us.
Instead of going and running around like a lunatic, exposing yourself and getting yourself banned and locked up and your guns taken
Yeah.
away, you should be preparing to fight the fight.
Yeah, exactly.
I understand that.
But if somebody wants to act in a certain way, it's their right to do that. They're not mentally ill for speaking out against the government, and that's what's coming down the road. The judge can now say, you're mentally ill, you think I'm part of a pedo network. Do you see what they could do now? Look what happened to Edgar Steele. They trumped up charges on him and threw the key away and put him in jail.
Right. I
Now they got
understand.
an easier way to do it. Now it's
I mean,
it's
yeah, I
real
mean-
easy now.
We could also mention, remember Jim Trafficant, he was charged with bribery and tax evasion, which wasn't even true. Like, he was acquitted of it later, but he went in jail in 2003, released in 2009. So he was in jail for 6 years for something he didn't even do. And it was proven that he was released. They found out that, yeah, he was innocent, but, he was falsely framed. So, they can easily falsely frame someone and,
I mean, I understand that, and I agree with you. Just like all the people that were going to testify against Hillary that shot herself in the back of the head twice. Yeah, I understand all that. But in the end of the day, that really did it, and people know it. They know the government lies to them because the government tells you they're going to lie to you. Everybody knows all that. But if there's nothing that you're going to be able to do by exposing yourself like all of these other people making martyrs out of themselves, and that does nobody any good, because people don't care. You see where it got them. It got them nowhere, and we're no further.
I get
we're
that.
not
Mike,
getting
I'm
better
not
than
saying people are going to be acting all like insane out there. That's what the media wants the mass mind to think, bro. Like, they're going to go after people questioning the government next as mentally ill. They already put it out there.
I understand that.
They're going to call anti-Semitism a mental illness.
Okay.
Mark my words.
Well, they already do it to a certain extent.
Not yet, but it's coming. You open the
thing is,
floodgates. You open the floodgates with red flag laws, bro.
I mean, they've opened the floodgates from many other laws before.
But
red
this
flag.
is worse. This is the worst one yet. This is taking your guns from you with no due process. This is giving a judge and officer total power over you. And who are they to determine who's mentally ill? Like a disturbed family member to make things up about you, and then you got to prove that you're not insane according to what they view as insane? You see where this is going, Rebel Mike.
In that, but unless the people,
But they're not going to get you.
unless the people, okay, of those areas that these laws are being passed do something about it, them laws are going to get passed.
We get that.
It's a localized problem.
We
And
get
unless-
that, Mike, and that's
Community,
a problem. We get it, bro. Yeah.
and unless they do something about it, then it's going to happen, and there's nothing you can do to stop that.
Yes, You can down the road. That's why we have to work with our children.
We're not fighting OJ. No, I understand
Wow.
that. Working, look, my children are gun owners. They shoot. They know
Well,
how to
just
shoot.
tell them, hey, they ain't ever gonna get your guns. They're just gonna do what they're gonna do. You know, I ain't getting my damn gun. You know, you tell them that, you might as well just give up. I don't know.
What did I tell you a while ago, fellow man? I would gladly give them all of the guns they know I have. I'm not out here.
But I
Trying
just
to-
explained to you the
Go ahead.
reprimand that will come for you to do that by giving them your guns, man. Like, you're giving up. You shouldn't even give them that. You have the right to bear arms, Mike.
Well,
You shouldn't have to dig holes to bury your guns that
I don't
they
dig
know
holes.
you have or whatever. You know?
I don't have none buried. not, not yet.
Okay, but you get my point. Like, why it's important not to give in.
You say it is.
Yeah.
I understand, but but you're not understanding my point. I've been saying this for 6 years.
I get it. And then look what's happened over 6 years.
And nobody's been able to tell me what they're going to do about it. Nobody's showed me what they're going to do about it, or nobody.
We got to do the same
nothing.
thing Eric Holder's doing. Back. We can do it.
Get national media to let you on TV.
We could do it. There's platforms to reach people. We could do it.
Yeah, they'll shut you down when you go to try to do it. Do it on here.
What? To put out information to stand up against these tyrannical gun laws that they're trying to push?
Start doing videos daily on certain situations and see how long that lasts.
I get that. That's how far it's come, Mike. We got to stand up against it. Oh, man, I don't know.
But how are you standing up against it? I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm just trying to say, you know, if
Mike,
you try to fight it, they're going to
Mike,
shut you
you
down.
can't be an ostrich. You know, you can't just say, it ain't come from me. Like,
Well, you know what, kid? What we're doing right now, we're trying to reach out to. There's only 22 people watching, but we're just reaching out to other audiences, just trying to let them know that's we're doing what we can. Like,
Look, I understand that, and I'm not against you. It's just a fellow man is trying to make it that way. I don't know why. I guess he wants to have the little drama in his stream, but it's.
oh, Mike, no, come on, man. I'm just seeing where you're coming from, bro. Come on.
I'm not coming from anywhere. I'm coming from the point of you ever all these years I've asked you the same question and you can't answer the question.
What am I going to do about it? I answered your question.
The answer is to talk about it, to talk.
Yeah,
talk,
educate your kids, get the information out there just like they do. That's how we do something about it. I think
Okay.
that's effective.
All right, educate, hashtag educate your kids. All right.
Yes. The more people you get out there to unravel what they've done, the teach people that you've been lied to and they're trying to brainwash you, just like Eric says, you're doing a good thing. You're giving your part. That's all, Mike. So that's my answer. All these years.
Okay. So no, we're just keep talking about it.
Yes. Yes. Because they want you to rise up right now. And that gives them every reason to come get your guns. Get it? You get it.
I understand exactly what you're saying.
Okay, let's go back to see where this started in the 60s, all right? Let's see who's behind it. But this ain't drama, Mike. This is like real issues, and I appreciate the argument.
Okay.
You know, I'm not trying to like agitate you or anything.
No, I'm fine. Play your
Yeah,
video.
yeah.
I'd like for LARP to get up here and spread his knowledge on the subject.
I don't know. Give me a second. I'm not trying to put you on the spot, Mike. I'm not. So
I'm fine.
yeah.
You're not bothering me.
Give me a second here. Let me find this stuff. Let's see here.
That's it. All right. See, there's one person that understood what I was trying to say. Yeah.
Yeah, this.
He probably did LARP. It's
Forfeiture
okay.
of prop.
Let's get into the real nitty gritty here. All right, guys, 1 second.
Here's a photo of Chuck Schumer. Apparently it's okay for Jews to possess guns, just not Goyim cattle. Oh yes, the greatest gun grabbers in U.S. history are, and always have been, quite Jewish. Gun control in the United States is as Jewish as our liberal and self-destructive immigration policies.
1968. The Gun Control Act of 1968 comes from Representative Emanuel Seller's House Bill H.R. 17735. It expands legislation already attempted by the non-Jewish Senator Thomas Dodd. America's biggest and most far-reaching gun law came from a Zionist.
1988, Senate Bill S. 1523 is sponsored by Senator Howard Metzenbaum. It proposes legislation turning every violation of the Gun Control Act of 1968 into a RICO predicate offense, allowing a gun owner to be charged with federal racketeering offenses. 1988, Senator Metzenbaum co-sponsors a bill S. 2180 to ban or limit or restrict so-called plastic guns.
1990, Senator Herbert Kohl introduces Bill S. 2070, the Gun-Free School Zone Act of 1990, which bans gun possession in a school zone. The law will later be struck down in court as unconstitutional. 1993, Senate Bill S. 653 is sponsored by Senator Howard Metzenbaum. It bans specific automatic rifles, but also gives the Secretary of Treasury the power to add any semi-automatic firearm to the list at a later date. February 1994, the Brady Law, which requires waiting periods to buy handguns, becomes effective. Senator Metzenbaum wrote the Brady Bill. Metzenbaum sponsored the bill in the Senate. The sponsor of the bill in the House was Representative Charles Schumer. 1994, Senator Metzenbaum introduced S. 1878, the Gun Violence Prevention Act of 1994, aka Brady II. Representative Schumer sponsored Brady II sister legislation, H.R. 1321. Into House of Representatives.
September 1994. The Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act of 1994 goes into effect, including a provision that bans the manufacture and possession of semi-automatic rifles, described as assault weapons. Note that true assault weapons are fully automatic, not semi-automatic. That gun ban provision was authored in the Senate by Senator Dianne Feinstein and authored in the House by Congressman Schumer.
1995, Senators Cole, Specter, Feinstein, Lautenberg, and others introduced Gun-Free School Zones Act of 1995, an amended version of the 1990 School Zone Law, which was struck down in court as being unconstitutional.
September 1996, the Lautenberg domestic confiscation provision becomes law. It is part of a larger omnibus appropriations bill. It was sponsored by Senator Frank Lautenberg. It bans people convicted of misdemeanor domestic violence from ever owning a gun. 1997, Senate Bill S-54, the Federal Gang Violence Act of 1997, proposes much harsher sentences for people violating minor gun laws, including mandatory prison sentences and forfeiture of property. It was introduced by Dianne and Senator Hatch, among others. It returns the idea of turning every violation of the Gun Control Act of 1968 into a RICO predicate offense.
January 1999, Senator Barbara Boxer, aka Barbara Levy, introduces Bill S-193, the American Handgun Standards Act of 1999. January 1999, Senator Cole introduces Bill S-149, the Child Safety Lock Act of 1999. It would require a child safety lock in connection with transfer of a handgun. February 1999, Senator Frank Lautenberg introduces Bill S-407, the Stop Gun Trafficking Act of 1999. What? February 1999, Senator Lautenberg introduces S-443, the Gun Show Accountability Act of 1999.
March 1999, Senator Lautenberg introduces Bill S-560, the Gun Industry Accountability Act of 1999. March 1999, Senator Feinstein introduces Bill S-594, the Large Capacity Ammunition Magazine Import Ban Act of 1999. May 2000, Senate Bill S-2515, Firearm Licensing and Record of Sale Act of 2000, is submitted by Senators Feinstein, Senator Barbara Boxer, Senator Lautenberg, and Senator Schumer. It is a plan for a national firearms licensing system.
January 2001, Senate Bill S-25, Firearm Licensing and Record of Sale Act of 2001, is sponsored by Feinstein, Schumer, and Boxer. It is a nationwide gun registration plan. Apparently, there were two versions of that Firearm Licensing and Record of Sale Act bill.
May 2003, Senators Feinstein, Schumer, Boxer, and others introduced legislation that would reauthorize the 1994 federal assault weapons ban and close a loophole in the law that allows large-capacity ammunition magazines to be imported into the U.S. The ban is scheduled to expire in September 2004.
October 2003, Senators Feinstein, Lautenberg, Levin, also Jewish, and Schumer co-sponsor Bill S-1774, designed to stop the sunset ending of Undetectable Firearms Act of 1988.
March 2005, Senator Lautenberg introduces Bill S-645, quote, to reinstate the Public Safety and Recreational Firearms Use Protection Act, unquote. In other words, to reinstate the 1994 assault rifle ban, also known as the Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act of 1994, which expired in late 2004.
March 2005, Senator Feinstein introduces Bill S-620 to reinstate the Public Safety and Recreational Firearms Use Prevention Act. In other words, to reinstate the 1994 assault rifle ban, also known as the Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act of 1994, which expires in late 2004.
I couldn't find one lie in that video.
There was a brief interruption, but it went away. It was like saying not broadcasting for a second, but we're good.
Yeah. I'm wireless today. That's why I'm on.
Well,
not
I
on
was
my
thinking for a second
landline.
they might be shutting.
Yeah.
They might be shutting us down, but we're good. Yeah,
All
that's a good point. It's a good video you played.
And I suggest people to look up missing links. It's like the loose change version of this video right here. that series woke me up in 2008. That really woke me up to who's in charge and the financial end of 9/11. It really did, because I couldn't find one lie in that series. Not one that I can find. So I think we're under a serious attack here, and to give in to this and sit here and say what are we going to do about it is just foolish in my eyes. That's just how I feel about it. No offense, Mike. It just I just don't think we should just stand down and like not teach our kids and all that, you know. I see Influence Freedom had an issue with her own family. I guess her relatives had their guns taken from them, and luckily I think they had a decent judge where they were able to fight back and get the guns back. But that's not always going to be the case. It should have never happened on a false claim. So this is what I mean. False claims can happen. There's all kinds of bad juju behind us, if you know what I mean. So that's how I feel about it. I'm going to stand by that.
Yeah, you mentioned missing links. I posted the link to the video if anyone wants to check it out.
What, on BitChute? Yeah, it's the last place.
No, it's on YouTube. The missing links is still on YouTube.
Okay, good.
So if anyone wants to check it out, it's there.
Yeah. I think we're in big trouble if this keeps up. That's all I gotta say. What do you
It's gonna get worse. Like I said, in probably late in this decade, it's gonna get really bad. Like I'm predicting, like late 2020s.
Yeah, they're not spending all this money for nothing. You know what I mean?
I mean, there's a reason why this is being consistently, like, this is like the one thing which they always push on CNN and NBC. It's always, every month, there's a mass shooting which involves someone who's either a racist, anti-Semite, or is mentally ill. It's the same narrative over and over and over again. And it's no coincidence. This is like their number one agenda. And it's also no coincidence that people who talk about this stuff are getting censored on YouTube. Like, the two things I see getting censored are gun control and the ones talking about who is really at the top.
Yeah.
I mean, Rebel, OJM, you guys want to say anything?
All I want to say is, fellow man, okay, shouldn't be up here condemning somebody
Condemned.
when he has no clue what he's talking about.
Okay.
Because if you knew my role in real life on this situation, you wouldn't say that. But I can't come out here and tell you then I would be outing myself. But that's
Okay.
all.
All right. So all this stuff about who's in charge and what happened, I don't know what I'm talking about.
No, I didn't say that. That's
Okay.
not what I'm saying.
What are
That's
you
not
saying?
I'm saying. When you're saying that just sitting here not doing nothing about it, okay, well, getting on here and doing all this and talking about it is actually the same as doing nothing about it. If you want to do something about it, I'll send you some information and you can actually do something about it. Okay.
Are you assuming I don't participate in any rallies?
I'm not saying that. I don't participate in rallies. We can't go to rallies. We definitely can't go to rallies. But what I'm saying is, I'm not. I'm not. You've always heard me say, I just not a big one to just sit and talk about it and talk about it and talk about it, because it's not getting you nowhere.
Okay.
And I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. The video that you played is truthful. I'm not saying it's not truthful. I'm just saying, but it's the same stuff. I mean, that we've been talking about for the whole time, and it's not getting you anywhere.
Okay. All right, everybody, just give up. Fuck, you know.
No, not what I said. You have ways of taking what people say out of context and to fit.
Well, I was just trying to figure out what you were saying, Mike. You're telling me that this doesn't produce anything, and it doesn't educate in any way. Like, some people might not know about who started these gun laws, or where it's coming from, or situations that happen that other people don't know about. Like, that's what this is for. Why do you think I'm wasting my time doing this, man? Like, I should I go to the drama network and watch all them ladies scream and yell at each other all day? Like,
Well,
I get more out of this than doing that. I'm just saying, man. Like,
you have.
oh, I thought it was entertaining, but this here is like non-drama. I was trying to put out some productive stuff here, man. I just think, this is stuff that some people might not know about, If I can help one or two or whatever, I'm not saying I know more than anybody else, but I think this stuff needs to be talked about. They're pushing these laws, and I don't think it's right. And either does Finding Freedom or OJM.
I completely understand. I agree with you, fella man. Move on.
Well, you don't have to agree with me. I'm just saying. That's what
Well,
my point of view is, and I think it's productive to do some of this, other than fighting with people on here, bickering and all that other bullshit, like all the time. Like, there is
Well
drama.
said, fellow man.
There is trolls on here. There is drama. It's part of YouTube, but like, you gotta try to do something once in a while if you want to put your part in it, man. That's just how I feel about it.
understand that. So I understand that. So, but trying to do anything meaningful and worthwhile is the internet's kind of not like got a lot of credibility for that.
Well, how do you think they're swaying people's minds with all this brainwash? It is the internet, and the internet's where everybody goes to. They're giving up the newspapers and coming online. Look at
Right.
Twitter. Look at Facebook. Like,
So
yeah.
don't you think if people would stop watching news and stop listening to the stuff on the internet, a lot of the problems?
Well, if people listened to what we said and took it to heart, yes, it would stop a lot of problems.
Okay.
Yeah, so the best thing is to do is like just reach out to as many people as you can, just reach out. Yeah, just keep on fighting, just keep on fighting the good fight, do whatever you can.
I really would like not to focus on this drama anymore. I really don't like that.
Well, it gets us nowhere. It's just like the drama is like it doesn't get us anywhere. It's just it's more of a distraction. It's just it happened, and what happens is done now. But it's time to it's a new year. It's time to move forward and go back to the reason we're all here is because, like, I'd say majority of us are here is because we don't believe what we see on TV. We question, and we want to protect our rights. That's why we're here. So.
Better answer that, Mike.
That's to you.
That ain't mine.
Well, yes, it is.
I don't think it is. That's you. I saw the bars come.
You might be hearing the ding on my thing, but all of those messages are to you.
Absolutely
Yeah, I
not.
mean-
I'm not giving that shill any time on here. Absolutely not.
I don't know why he's asking me. Like, Domingo. The answer is no. I'm not going to do it.
This shill is out there telling people they should give up their guns. Absolutely not.
Well, I don't know. He comes from a country where there are very little gun rights. So.
And there's good people in that country that would like to have gun rights. And I know a couple.
Mhm.
So. Anyway, let's go on with some more of this relevant information.
Before you go on, though, I sent you that meme, but of Dianne Weinstein and her comment towards veterans and their guns.
Yeah.
You guys remember that one?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'll just read it off.
Yeah, it's hard for me to do it right now, bro.
Well, I'll just read it off. It's like all vets are mentally ill in some way, and government should prevent them from owning firearms.
Yeah, it's come out of Feinstein's mouth.
Yeah. Yeah, out of her mouth. Yeah, like people who serve this country overseas for like her agenda, her and her people's agenda, you know, and that's what she's got to say about them, that they're mentally ill and the government should prevent them from owning firearms. It's pretty messed up.
All right, Mike, can you mute your notifications, bro?
I think that's yours.
It's not mine.
No, it's not.
They're all signed.
It's not mine. My headphones are in.
My headphones are in too.
Whoever has their speaker, whoever doesn't have headphones.
It probably was mine though.
It's not a big deal. I don't mind it.
It bothers fellow man.
Well, I feel this was productive. I'm glad.
Good stream,
people got
fellow
some-
man. You know, we got some information out, and you know, if we can reach out to a few people, that is a good thing. It doesn't matter. We're not looking for, you know, whoever wants to tune in. Like, and thanks for everyone who came to the show.
I think it's going to get worse down the road, you know?
Yeah, the next decade, I think what will happen, like I said, I think the next term when Trump gets reelected, like, he's just gonna do like a really bad job just to go down as like the worst president in American history, and then 2028 or 2024, the next election occurs, we're gonna get a far left socialist Democrat, and then we're gonna see a lot's gonna change then, especially with regards to our rights.
Well, I want to go over some of this church stuff. A certain member of our old hangout asked me a personal question about trying to find churches that don't fall for this Zionism psyop that's going on in these John Hagee infected churches. So there are a lot out there that still resist it, and I'm gonna show some information about that. So give me a minute.
Quite a lot showed up to that Virginia protest, though.
Yeah, they did.
It's like 20,000 people, I believe, which is pretty big.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah,
What was
anybody that says that somebody should have their guns removed from them because they are crazy should not be allowed in any of these shows and be allowed to even speak to us. It's just an insult.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, and he's there.
Yeah, we have certain snakes in these circles that'll kiss people's asses to get a wrench so he can ban any opposition that calls him out. And he got caught with his pants down lately, and we know who that is.
Yeah. And just to let everyone know, this guy also says a plane hit the Pentagon.
Yeah, that you have to know who Ryan Dawson is to be a 9/11 truther. These are the kind of idiots we got in our circles.
It's unfortunate, man. They're pushing their agenda by saying that.
Yes,
That's
it's
exactly
actually
what they're
pushing the agenda
look what
by
he just
saying
wrote.
it.
Look what he just wrote.
A total shield.
Mentally insane. So you're saying you should have your guns taken, right, Domingo? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, there's a gun grabber for you, folks. A subverter, a complete shill. Watching him jump from one circle to the next is pretty entertaining. I mean, he just totally embarrasses himself. All right, enough of that. Sorry.
What are you going to show now? You're going to show
Yeah, I'm
that
going to show
the Christians against Zionism.
the Lutheran Church. Yeah, there's a big list. Lutheran Church. Let's see here. They overwhelmingly approved the resolution calling on the American government to halt all aid to Israel if the building of settlements continues in Judea and Samaria. So, it's not just, it's also the United Methodist Church, the Presbyterian, United Church of Christ, and I think the American Baptist Church as well.
Yeah, which is separate from the Southern Baptists.
Yes. And you guys who don't know who John Hagee is, I suggest you research him. He's the one really pushing the Zionism card. And
John Hagee and Pat Robertson also.
Total shill. So any other Christians out there that don't want to be deceived and non-corrupted by John Hagee and his agenda, there you go. There's hope. So what do you think about that finding, Freedom? I mean,
Yeah, it's good that there are a lot of, because Zionism has nothing to do with the Bible or Christianity, because, the whole point of Israel was like, once Christ came, the gospel was available to the whole world. It wasn't just for the children of Israel. So, anyone who's saying, because, here's the thing, it says in the Old Testament, it told the children of Israel that if they reject God, that he would scatter them among the nations and he would leave their land desolate. So, there's no prophecy anywhere that, Israel was supposed to be rebuilt and that the Jews were supposed to come back. Today, modern day Judaism is not the religion of the Old Testament. They've apostatized completely. So, God loved them once, but, right now it's the true children of Israel, the ones who accepted Jesus Christ and the gospel. So, don't listen to anyone. If your church is telling you that you have to support Israel to be a Christian, then, I would try to disassociate from that. And they are good churches, in all sects and denominations. Fellow man mentioned primarily some Protestant churches, but the Eastern Orthodox Church is also doesn't fall into Zionism. I believe there's some breakaway Roman Catholic churches, like they're not part of the main church. They've broken away since the Second Vatican Council. They're also opposed to Zionism. They see it as heresy. So, you can find something. Like I'd say the biggest Zionist Christians are probably the Southern Baptists, and I believe the Pentecostals also, and evangelicals. So, try to find something outside of that, and you can find something.
Yeah. The Methodist Church is going through a breakup for this gay marriage stuff too, as well.
That's one thing about the mainline Protestant churches. So, like, the mainline churches are like Lutheran, Presbyterian, Episcopalian. They have gotten even United Church of Christ, like, they're very liberal. Like, they allow homosexual marriage in their churches, a lot of them. Like, the Presbyterian Church, they passed in 2015. Interesting thing about the Methodist Church is, like, it was primarily the outrage was primarily in America. The rest of the Methodist Church around the world, like from Africa, South America, India, pretty much everywhere else, they were like big time opposed to this of homosexual marriage being passed. It was just in America that there was a big support for it. So, And here's the thing: just because like a denomination's leadership says it, does not mean there might be individual churches which are against it. So just because a leadership is approving homosexuality does not mean there are like individual Methodist churches who approve. I'm sure there are some individual Methodist churches which are against the agenda.
Yeah, so there's definitely hope out there. A lot of Christians are seeing these churches putting up the Israeli flag and the Seal of Solomon and all that. So, yeah, unfortunately, you're going to have that. This is basically like a virus right now, trying to infiltrate these churches and push Genesis 12:3 and misinterpret what it really meant.
And just to let everyone know, Israel doesn't, if you think it's a conflict between Jews and Muslims, Israel's also, a lot of Palestinian Christians are also suffering because of this. So,
Yeah.
If you're saying that it's not just Muslims, it's also Palestinian Christians.
I found a good article too, stating the 7 reasons why we shouldn't let these red flag laws go by. I thought it was pretty interesting, so give me a second.
Yeah, just on the churches thing, like, I know I've said this before, but it's
Yeah,
like
you see it.
every church I drive by has a freaking rainbow flag, and it's meant for, like, the gay flag, like, it's everywhere in my state.
I know,
It's
that
weird.
just sucks. It must be very liberal in your area,
Oh, yeah, it definitely is. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
but,
blue state.
It's like, yeah, like I do, yes, you do notice that with the Lutheran Presbyterian churches or United Church of Christ, yes, they will have rainbow flags just to like fit in. But there are some good churches which do not fall. I'm just like the church I go to, they'll never preach something like this. So
I want to say we did have a Baptist church. I'm pretty sure it's Baptist, like, move in my town. I don't see a rainbow flag on their church, actually, now that I think of it.
usually Baptists are a little more conservative. Like I said, the Protestant churches in America, it's like, I guess you can say it's divided into 2 sects. There's like the mainline, more traditional churches, which like come from, their origin is all the way to the Protestant Reformation in Europe. So that's like like Lutheran, Episcopalian, Presbyterian. And then there's like the evangelical churches, which is more like Baptist, Pentecostal, evangelical. Like, I'd say it's divided into those, and those are usually the evangelical are usually much more conservative than other churches.
It's a little bit different up here in Vermont, though, you know.
I have a lot of respect for people out there that can handle criticism as well. You know, Mike and I known each other for what 7 years now, and like, you know, I mean, we don't always agree on things, and he's a good guy. I know that, and we just get passionate about our certain views, and that's just how it is. But you know that, Mike.
Well, I'm not mad.
It's all good.
It's okay. It's all good. We're all friends here.
Yeah. We all have a different view, and that's just how it is.
Perfectly fine.
I think we all can agree the Second Amendment is very important, and we shouldn't give it up in any
In a
way, shape, or
different-
form.
You're just in a different place than I'm at.
Yeah.
I was already where you're at a long time ago. I've
Yeah.
moved on past that place.
Well, you know what? I was actually where you're at for a while until.
No,
These-
you're not where I'm at. You're not even close to being where I'm at.
Okay. But
I'm just saying.
I think these red flag laws are not a false flag. I think they're real.
I got you. I mean, okay.
I mean,
I-
they passed them and they're implementing them, man. Like, it's happening. Like, it's serious. These people down there marching are taking it pretty damn serious. So this is just how I look at it. But it's all right, Mike. I mean, I have no ill
The only
intention.
place you'll see me on live stream in this community.
Well,
will
that's
be-
why I brought you on, because I thought maybe you'd get some insight to it, and didn't know that you basically, I'm not saying you don't care, but you're past what this is about.
Well, I'll explain it to you whenever we're not on here.
Yeah.
I can't explain it to you on here. I'm just saying.
Okay, that's good. Well, this is one of the biggest reasons. There's no evidence red flag laws reduce gun violence. Okay, that's all bullshit. Congress lacks the integrity and the authority. Okay. We have federalism, unlike the federal government, whose powers James Madison noted are few and defined. State possess powers that are numerous and indefinite. This is the biggest one, I think. Red flag laws violate due process of law. Deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. And Influence Freedom stated in the chat, this affected her personally and her family. So that's the first I've ever heard of anybody being affected by this in this circle. So, you know, that's unfortunate. And what's fortunate is she was able to, I guess, her relatives were able to get their guns back. And all because the judge was nice. Now, all these judges aren't going to be cool. We know that. So, it still caused a lot of grief, and it should have never happened. It was all on a false pretense. Red flag laws can lead to more violence. It's not just the mentally ill and grave threats who are flagged. So they're going by like pre-crime, just right out of the movies. What was that movie, Minority Report, with Tom Cruise, where they arrest people before they do it, when they actually never do it, never go through the intention. They never really, you know, at the last second they can change their mind of pulling that trigger or stabbing or whatever. I'll be leaving links after the stream's over. Look into some of this stuff. And here it is, where they state the Minority Report. You know, right out of the movies. So, you know, they come up with these movie ideas too. That get you thinking about this stuff. in the future, you know? And we know who runs Hollywood. So that's a direct correlation, right? What do you think, Finding Freedom, with Hollywood and...
You know, the thing is, they'll use Hollywood. Like, you know, Hollywood's been very successful in pushing the homosexuality and the breakdown of the families. So, you know, whatever, they'll use it for their own. You know, I mean, it's not just like the movies, it's the actors and actresses themselves. Like, you know, they say, yeah, they're also calling, like, you know, the big actors. Like, you know, I don't know anyone in particular, but I'm sure a lot of them I've heard are pushing this gun control, saying we need gun control, stand against gun violence, take away our Second Amendment. Like, you know, it's very common among. They'll use like these like celebrities which are worshipped by our society, and they'll use them to push their agenda. Like,
Yep. That's it in a nutshell. I want to state this too, for those who don't know better. Do not give Ryan Dawson any money to make a NUMEC film, okay? There's plenty of information out there about NUMEC, okay? He's out there e-begging for you to give him money to make a film that's already been exposed. NUMEC has already been exposed to the fullest.
yeah, you know, Ryan Dawson, he's one of the, you know, first off, this guy's been on TV. He's been on Russia Today
Yeah.
and Press TV. So, you know, they won't let anyone like that just on. Yeah. So, you know, he says this is the same person who says a Boeing 757 was somehow able to fly 20 feet from the ground and hit the Pentagon right on, like a missile, and leave no damage on the lawn, and leave absolutely no debris. He says that, and this is the person that says the Boeing 757 crashed in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, even though there was no explosion, no flames, there was no giant fire like what usually happens in a plane crash. Yeah, it was just like someone took a dump truck and dumped a pile of scrap in a hole. That's what it looked like. There's no evidence of a crash. Like, you can look at it. We showed that video of the B-52 crashing a few months ago, and we showed there's a big difference between that crashing and what happened in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. And Ryan Dawson's also a person is saying that World Trade Center Building 7 now collapsed due to fire, even though, you know, fire, like typical office fires, do not burn at 3,000 degrees, so they cannot cause a structural failure. That's impossible. So, yeah, if you want to, you know, don't trust Ryan Dawson. He's a disinformation agent, and, you know, he says it's Zionism is a problem. He doesn't talk about, like, actual Jewish control or Jewish money power or anything like that, so... Yeah.
He basically
that's all I got.
he basically shills for Judaism is what he does, and he's said that. So yeah. Also, he says that the cameras at the Pentagon could not keep up with anything that goes over 300 miles per hour at that time. That the cameras weren't.
Well, but there's
good
video,
enough.
like we showed that video. There's videos of that B-52 crash. That was in 1995 that crash happened.
Yeah.
So
Save your money and look up NUMEC for yourself, guys. It's been fully exposed. There's nothing he's going to show you that's anything new. So save your money. Do your own research. I've covered this last year. You were here, Finding Freedom, when I did this.
yeah, I was there.
OGM was.
And you have the playlist also.
Yes, I have a playlist on my channel. Grant Smith does a good job of exposing this wide open. You know, wide open. And there's other books as well. As we know, NUMEC is the company that helped ship weapon-grade uranium to Israel in the 60s. Owned by Sapiro. You can look this up for yourself, guys, but it's worth a look. Yeah, this is really intense stuff. It's been well investigated. Some of it's been declassified. Some of it's been swept under the rug. But you can look at it yourself. Yeah. So that was a big cover-up going on during that time. And that's how they got the bomb. And the Israelis, I wouldn't doubt, are crazy enough to use it if they don't get what they want, which they call the Samson option. So.
Yeah. Well, remember they have tried to, it was in it was the Lavon affair. It was in when was it? It was 1955 where they tried to, and this is a fact. It was like Israel was trying to engage in a false flag operation, like and attack American and British owned like libraries and cinemas, and to have put the blame on Muslims from Egypt and start a war.
Yes.
So Israel has a history of doing that.
Hey, Felma, how long ago was like you and the community you were in talking about the Numek affair though?
I've been aware of it for about 4 or 5 years.
Like, is that when videos were coming out on it? Like, free videos?
I've made my playlist in 2015, I believe, on it. But
I just find it funny. He's like,
he's acting like he's gonna blow this open. He's found something
pretty
new, and I mean, here's 2 books. Here's 2 books worth buying. One by Grant Smith called, it's a long title, Divert, and you can read it here. By Grant F. Smith. Just type in these keywords, and this book will come up. Stealing the Atom Bomb by Roger J. Mattson. Great books, a lot of information. You can learn about it yourself. Grant Smith actually did 2 big videos at the local fire hall where this happened, where the whole community was getting cancer. Okay, there's all these lawsuits still underway in Apollo, Pennsylvania, I think it is, and yeah, it's a big deal. I mean, a lot of the community are all getting cancer from the nuclear waste that's still in the ground. They're still removing parts of it. It's a long process. They used to dump the waste into the local river, and they had I think they had a meltdown at one time where the fumes were going, out to the community, up through the roof. I don't know how that all works, but I guess the radioactive fumes were spewing out to the community. I mean, this was bad. This is back in the 60s. There wasn't much EPA stuff going on then. So, yeah, I mean, this is bad stuff. But Grant Smith and Roger Mattson blow this wide open. I'm sure their books are going to be cheaper than Ryan Dawson's video. So.
Yeah, there's so many other
really
people.
low.
The people who are going to Ryan Dawson, there's so many people who do much better. They're doing much better work than what Ryan Dawson has produced. And, because Ryan Dawson, he says that the FBI was trying to save us from 9/11 and stop the Israelis when, look at who was the head of the investigation. It was like, what was his name? Michael Chertoff.
Yeah.
Just...
So more on my channel, I have like a video of like all the things that he was wrong about on the Pentagon.
Yeah. Well, he actually pushes the mainstream narrative of the box cutters. He thinks the box cutter situation happened, Let's roll.
Yeah, let's. Wait, and the ISIS thing? What was that ISIS thing we did last stream?
James Foley. He was pushing. He said that was real. He's saying we have to feel bad.
Yeah. He thinks James Foley was beheaded by a British contractor that works for ISIS. Which that's what it was, but he thinks that was a real radical Muslim. Oh my gosh, with a British accent.
Oh, it's an act.
It's messed up.
He's a paid agent. That's what he is. He's a paid agent.
Well, yeah, he's getting paid by people who donate him, and I think he's getting other funds elsewhere, probably from our
And
team.
it's also suspicious. Why is he hiding in Japan?
Well, I guess he couldn't get a woman in America, so he had to go to Japan and find some naive chick. You know, I mean, what the heck is he doing in Japan, talking about American politics? And how's he know what the heck's going on in the Middle East and Japan? He's getting secondhand information that you can't trust. It's enough of that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Let's go over James Trafficant, a real man.
Where should we begin?
I got an article when he went to save John Demjanjuk.
Yeah.
James Trafficant is like when I was wearing myself this information. It was that video like America's Israelis whore, you know.
Oh yeah.
Like I didn't even know who his name was when I was first walking. You know, this is when I very, years, 3 years ago maybe now. But yeah, that was a pretty telling documentary. Anyway, what were you saying?
Yeah, that's good. I mean, that's how we wake up. We maybe see a video that leads us somewhere else. And if it wasn't for people putting videos out, imagine where you would be, you know? So I think it's very useful to put information out on the internet.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
So, yeah, this John Demjanjuk, they were going to hang this guy for being like a Nazi war criminal. And James Trafficant flew to Israel to get this guy free because he was trumped up on false charges. Now that's what a real man does. There's a speech called James Trafficant's last public speech where there's like 2 minutes that get like censored because he starts talking about the case, and I think he was saying some stuff that they don't want out there, what they trumped up, you know what I mean? So I could read this whole thing, but just type in James Trafficant, John Demjanjuk, and you guys could see this for yourself. It's very interesting. He did a good job of saving this guy. I mean, if the guy was actually guilty, then whatever, but James saved him,
Yeah. And this story's not as well known as that one, but for those that don't, Arthur Rudolph, he was a German rocket scientist. He came to America under Operation Paperclip, and he worked for NASA after that. So what was happening was he was also getting extradited and he was going to be trialed in West Germany. So Jim Trafficant actually tried very hard to stop this. He was legally made an American citizen because of his service to NASA.
Yeah.
And they were trying to deport him, the Jewish lobby here, and he and Trafficant even said there was a powerful Jewish lobby influencing Congress that was trying to get him deported and trialed. But Jim Trafficant also tried to defend him. Arthur Rudolph died before he could be prosecuted, but that's another thing. He did try to defend another American who helped us go to the moon. So
the moon's a hoax. It's Swiss cheese. Just ask this guy named Urban. Sorry. I had to say that.
Okay.
What does he say the moon is again?
It's a hoax.
No, he says it's like, we'll go over that.
I mean, the level of insanity. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, oh my God.
I think his famous quote was, "You're not a real truther unless you're a flat earther." That's what he said, directed at you. Let's not.
Yeah, let's not go down that avenue right now because we know where that's going. But anyway, James Trafficant, a hero. He was a quarterback for Pitt, man. He was a man. He was a sheriff, worked his way up in politics. I believe he had inside information on 9/11. He was on their hit list for a long time. They threw him in jail. He never admitted to a crime. They made up all these Trump charges on him. He was in jail for 8 years, and they put him in a real shitty prison, too. But he so-called died in a traffic accident. A lot of people...
Tractor.
Yeah, tractor. Tractor accident. Yeah, tractor accident.
Yeah, there's a lot of suspicion on that. I mean, there was no...
Coincidence.
Yeah, it's a coincidence, you know. Like, there's no leaders left now. Like, you know, you got people like Collins Piper, Eustace Mullins, guys that are putting out good information. They're all gone
Edgar
now.
Steele.
Yeah, I mean, people like that are rational are all gone. Now we got, you know who we got now. And it's
David
making
Duke.
it, yeah. They're reconnected.
Wait, just wait.
I don't know what happened. Must be too much
Okay, it's
truth.
back. It's coming back. Coming back.
It's truth.
Oh.
Too much truth. I don't know what's happening. It's because I'm on a wireless line. I took a chance.
That's saying live stream or offline.
Yeah.
Domingo. Wow. He's trying to get Rebel News.
Yeah.
You know. He was trying to be cutting to me. He's like, come on, Finding Freedom, please let me on. And I was like, no way, dude. And then he's asking, Rebel News message me in private. Like,
What did it do?
it's going on. It's buffering now. It's buffering.
It says
Yeah.
it's live to me.
It's going on. It's buffering now.
It says it's live to me. It's live. I can hear us
Okay,
talking.
we're back on. We're
Okay.
back online. We're back live.
Yeah, I
I apologize,
apologize. I took a chance going wireless because we were in a big hurry to get on. So I advise everybody, don't do OBS wireless. it cannot keep
Now it's
up.
back.
So you'll have that. Anyway.
We were talking about again.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just what you call man's man. Yeah, it keeps crashing. Shit. It crashed again. Ah, it's a chance I took.
It's buffering again.
Yeah. It's showing red. My kilobytes per second went down to 0. I don't get it. Got nothing else connected. I'll try it one more time just as...
Yeah, now it's completely off.
Okay.
Before it showed the stream still even when it was off.
Saved James Shafkin for next stream.
Yeah. Tell me
Yeah,
what-
that sounds good.
Hey guys, we're gonna cut this off. It looks like connection issues are going on. So, hey Mike, I appreciate you coming on. So,
Not a problem. Y'all have a good one. Take it easy,
All right.
everybody in the chat.
Appreciate you coming on, Mike.
yeah,
Yeah.
good
Thank
show.
you to
I think
everyone
it was a good
tuned
show.
in.
It was very informative. I think we did a good job. Everybody did a good job. So,
Yeah, everyone. Yeah, good job, everyone.
all right, thanks for the
And thank you,
chat.
Feldman.
Thanks, chat.
Thank you, Feldman Travis.
No problem, buddy. Thanks, chat. I hope we got something out of this. And don't give up. Don't give in to defeatism. We got a long battle ahead of us. So let's stick together and do what's right. That's all I could say. All right. Good night.
All right. Good night, everyone.